the year of the loot box, it looks like we may have finally gotten to a breaking point with the latest Star Wars Battlefront 2 fiasco. The most downvoted post in Reddit's history now belongs to EA's response on Reddit to a complaint about having Darth Vader, one of the iconic Star Wars characters, locked inside of a loot box even after purchasing the Elite Trooper Edition, which, by the way, seems like the very definition of pay to win, with the description, quote, "Every trooper class is upgraded, delivering superior firepower, deadly weapon modifications, and epic combat abilities." The post has now become something of a meme. I mean, listen to how much PR bullshit is smeared in this post.
The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes.
No, fuck trumpets, the intent is to make a reward so far out of reach by normal grinding that you'll be enticed to sink money into the game due to the gaming psychology tactic known as ego depletion. I'll continue.
As for costs, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and other adjustments made to milestone rewards before launch. Among other things, we're looking at average per player credit earn rates on a daily basis, and we'll be making constant adjustments to ensure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and of course attainable via gameplay.
Sorry, douche canoes, you can't focus group your way out of this fucking disaster. I mean, who in the shit are these people that tell these companies that the numbers the publisher put out for earning shit is actually fair? Other early reviewers and EA/Origin Access users have been piecing together other anti-consumer practices based on the credits earned in the game that it would take nearly 40 hours of playing multiplayer to potentially earn enough credits to purchase only one of Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, using the in-game currency if you don't throw down your mom's credit card for a paid chance to win out of one of them through an RNG box. Not to mention, this is already scaled back from what was found in the beta, with upgrades to weapons and characters that affect gameplay and also locked behind gambling paywalls, as well as having a mobile game style cooldown on how fast you could even earn credits in the first place. So now EA has responded by lowering the credits it costs to unlock these characters by 75%, which is awesome. The problem is, however, they also reduced the credits you earned by doing things like completing the campaign by the same 75%. Thus, it isn't even a change for the better in as much as it's a change in the perception that things are better in the slimiest way possible. This is a PR tactic called making the rage outdated. Instead of attacking the fact that the company is still fucking you, no lube, in the asshole, some people will defend the fact that the company did listen and made changes. Moving the goalposts has already happened multiple times, and this game hasn't even fucking launched yet. The bad guys in EA changed the narrative, and those that cover gaming journalism are obliged to make corrections when these things change, as well as ardent fans that really wanted to buy the game but were turned off by the initial backlash now feel that their fears are quelled and thus will commit to a purchase, even though, as is clearly seen, nothing has actually changed. This is the same bullshit that Activision, spelled with a $sign, is now pulling with Call of Duty World War II. The game has been a launch disaster, an absolute mess of an experience, so it seems like Sledgehammer Games are being the good guys by pushing back a week the introduction of the micro DLC currency, COD points, but that still doesn't absolve the problem with the micro DLC. Their model isn't gameplay altering yet, but as we've seen with Black Ops 3 et al., it's an inevitable evil, especially when the game is capitalizing on the loot unboxing craze that's taken over YouTube of those shitty half-assed reactions with a thumbnail of a person covering their mouth with their hand as if they're surprised that this type of low-effort content actually gets a shit ton of views. This is also part of gaming psychology in the haves versus have-nots theory, which is proven to manipulate the minds of people. Fundamentally, the gaming industry has shifted from a cooperative model where companies try to produce the best, most enjoyable games possible in order to maximize sales, to an adversarial model. Maximize the profit by taking an experience that was once an all-inclusive deal and raise the prices by finding the maximum that people will pay for the base experience, then add an incremental revenue through upsells that get people to pay prices that they would not normally pay had the price been an all-inclusive to begin with. Gaming takes it the extra distance and adds in psychological manipulation through random rewards designed to exploit people's susceptibility to addictive behavior, recognizing that people will spend twice as much on loot boxes to get the item they want rather than just buy it outright for half the price. Games are designed to get commitment and investment from people. Early rewards at the beginning, tapering off in time, trying to find the minimal amount of enjoyment necessary to keep them from quitting and keeping them on the treadmill, always chasing that next carrot. They then gouge their customers by using the sunken cost fallacy and introducing higher threshold microtransactions at points in the game whereby they've already sunken countless hours, such that the investment is more swallowable, since the gamer thinks that they've already pot committed, to borrow an item from Texas Hold'em, because after all, gaming is now basically gambling anyways. This is why I'm extremely worried about the recent news that EA both dumped Visceral Games after Dead Space 3 was stuffed with micro DLC, making the game design suffer after the first two successful, critically acclaimed games, then forcing them to work on a Battlefield game that nobody fucking wanted, although I thought it was an enjoyable game, and then a Star Wars experience that was canned because it didn't allow them to maximize the revenue stream with its game design. Then they acquired Respawn after saying that sales of Titanfall 2 did not meet expectation, which begs the question, why did that happen, given that it was my favorite game of 2016 and was met with critical acclaim from journalists and reviewers alike. Many will point to the launch window being between the two biggest selling games in 2016, but I think it's something even more sinister. EA knew that Titanfall 2 was not going to have pay-for DLC like season passes and have the game littered with microtransactions, although there are some elite skins. So they purposely stuck the launch in a time period that it knew it would compete for sales, and the disappointment would then give EA ammunition to have the next installment of Titanfall be littered with the anti-consumer bullshit in order to make up for a perceived lack of sales. This is some conspiracy theory shit, and I know tinfoil hat is on right now, and even though I hate when people are talking about a game sequel when the current title is still being very actively played as Titanfall 2 is, I'm really worried about Titanfall 3, especially considering that Respawn is now working on a Star Wars title that I'm assuming was the remains of whatever the Visceral project was, and a VR experience before even thinking about a new Titanfall game. As we've seen with how the Dead Space franchise arc went, it's almost obvious that Titanfall 3 is primed for a disaster, which is a travesty. However, there is hope. This current model of the industry piecemealing up games is unsustainable, given that the only reason why it's even working in the first place at the moment is due to what's called whales by industry insiders. These are a very small group of people that purchase the majority of the microtransactions that generate massive amounts of revenue for the company. With more and more people making noise about these shady business practices, this bubble is going to burst sooner rather than later, and the gaming industry is going to crash harder than Paul Walker. EA is apparently doing an AMA tomorrow on this subject to try and smooth things over, but I hope that whomever the sacrificial lamb is to that slaughter will only amplify the problems, and some of those whales will no longer purchase loot crates because of the negative publicity and stigmata associated with it. By most accounts, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a great game that's crippled by this decision of loot boxing the game in order to make money. Sound familiar to lots of other recent games? EA is going to attempt to change the headlines by saying they've made changes, or even worse, idiots that are sending death threats to developers now will capture the attention. Come on, twat waffles, don't give your enemies sympathy ammunition to change the message about their game. That's what they want to do, control the message. Cancel your pre-order, that is, if you even pre-ordered the game in the first place. Why the fuck would you do so in 2017? But get a refund for your purchase, even though EA has sneakily removed the refund button from the customer support portal so that people have to wait on hold for a customer service representative or do some extra searching to find the exact beepity bop in order to get into the refund system, thus is trying the patience of the very customers that it needs to get revenue. Even though, based on plenty of screenshots on Reddit, customer support gets why people are refunding the game. Rumor is that as many as 70,000 pre-orders have been canceled overnight. That's a minimum $4.2 million loss, which is the right message that we need as gamers to send about this. Hit them in the wallet, motherfuckers, where it hurts the most. Anyways, what do you guys think about the loot box fiasco, as I'm going to be refreshing the Star Wars Battlefront subreddit every hour or so to see what type of bullshit pops up next. Hand me my popcorn and let's watch these scrotum sniffers try and sneak their way out of this one. I've been the Schwantz27, making like a fetus and heading out. Until next time.